What up, y'all? You're listening and watching to the Glorified House Show. It's been a minute since I've done one. I apologize. You know how it goes. Pretty busy with the screen printing and things of that nature. But I've been tuned in to the world of wrestling, mainly to WWE. Things I gotta say, things I gotta talk about. The last time I did a Glorified House Show, I actually got the wrong number, right? It was like the third episode, but but I said it was the fourth episode. So because these are going to be sporadic here and there, no longer will I name them by number, okay? It's just going to be Glorified House Show and whatever topic I want to talk about. And it's the road to WrestleMania. And there's a lot of topics I would like to cover on the way there because, again, I'm still tuned into the product. I still watch the show. I still watch Raw. I still watch SmackDown. And we just had a couple of crazy pay-per-views with a lot of storyline changes and things and that and the other. There's some other shit going on that has nothing to do with wrestling, like the whole Roman Reigns, the video that may show up of him and this, that, and the other. But there's so many things, and there's so many things to talk about. I will get to those things. But what I want to talk about now is how the main event picture is shaping up for WrestleMania. And you have a bunch of, it's like 5, 6 potential main event matches that I think could headline, but in my mind, there's only one match that should headline this year's WrestleMania, right? I don't have a list. I'm going to go off the top of my head on the 6 or 5 matches that could possibly headline WrestleMania. And first and foremost, I will bring up Stephanie McMahon with Triple H versus Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle, right? A lot of people are saying that this will headline WrestleMania, okay? And I have a lot of problem with that. I have so many problems with that because, and like, again, this is just my opinion, okay? I'm not sitting here bitching and moaning and throwing a fit because something's not going my way. I just think that I'm entitled to this opinion, and I hope you agree. If you don't agree, shit happens. We don't supposed to agree on everything. But the McMahons already have a stronghold on WrestleMania in general. Every year they got to get their airtime, whether it's, the Helms, Helms McMahon regime, which is the authority. For the past couple of years, they've either headlined or co-headlined a WrestleMania. Stephanie gets her fucking shine. Triple H headlining events, it's just mind-boggling that around this time you see him get more involved and he ends up, in Texas. He's defending the belt after winning the Royal Rumble. And he's basically headlining the biggest, statistically, in terms of numbers, the biggest WrestleMania of all time. That wasn't by coincidence, right? And here we are again, him booking himself and Stephanie booking herself against one of the biggest money draws in sport, and Ronda Rousey. And here we go again, these part-time, and I'm not someone who complains about part-time, but I'm like, these people have different roles. They're not wrestlers. They have wrestling contracts, but they're not wrestlers performing at WrestleMania. Stephanie is now in a match in the stronghold of the McMahons and granted, it's their business. They can do what the fuck they want, but like, it doesn't have to be every year that they have to be at a WrestleMania. And I question, is it a money thing? Is it an attention thing? Or is it a money thing? Right? do they get like a fat ass check, being that their name is actually on the checks, between Triple H and Stephanie? And then, you got fucking Shane also. It's just like, you look at the landscape of WrestleMania, and it's not like a 2-hour, 3-hour show anymore. These are 5-6 hour shows. But for some reason, there's always snubs, right? I don't care. This could be a 10-hour show. Someone deserving, because of their hard work all year, live tapings, house shows, they won't make the WrestleMania card because at least 3 or 2.5 spots, main event spots, are taken. And that's by Shane McMahon, Triple H, and Stephanie. This is a novelty match, okay? I don't want to see Kurt Angle. I don't know why people get so fucking hype about seeing Kurt Angle wrestle. I don't even like seeing him walk for that much. I don't even give a fuck to see him, even as general manager, flubbing his lines left and right. I get it. He's old, and maybe that's, you can paint lipstick on the pig, is still a pig. Oh yeah, we don't expect him to always get his lines right, and that's that's what's good about his character, because maybe it's scripted but it's real life. And I'm like, nah, fuck it. He's flubbing his lines. He's old. He's forgetful, and plus his character is worn really thin on me, because they can't make up their mind what they want to do with this guy. And I always go back to the idea of William Regal and what he does for NXT as a general manager, right? I don't know why his role as general manager on NXT is so drastically different from what they do on both Raw and SmackDown. And he makes as much difference. I mean, he makes more difference as a general manager on that respective brand with super limited exposure. I mean, it's phenomenal how much of a difference. The slogan, less is more, right? That's fucking William Regal and his job and his position over there in NXT, right? So you still got the power thing in wrestling, which needs to go. Like the authority figure in wrestling that needs to fucking go. It always rears his fucking ugly head almost every second of any wrestling promotion that exists. I think what's great, New Japan, they don't deal with that, right? And it's compelling storylines and drama. They don't need ghetto, shitting on wrestlers and making their lives miserable to create storyline. But lo and behold, we got Shane McMahon, we got Kurt Angle, and we still have Stephanie McMahon and Triple H as authority figures demanding a headline spot in WrestleMania. And Ronda Rousey, who's been thrust into this situation, which, I mean, granted, she's Ronda Rousey. I'm not going to dispute her position in the company. That's just stupid. But what I will say is that what she's done so far cannot be made excuses for. Right? She's horrible at acting. She's horrible at acting. Oh, she's just starting, she'll get better. I don't think so. This is why most wrestlers take acting classes. Because the average wrestler, the average fighter, the average sports man or woman are fucking, they're weirdos. They have no charisma, right? It's really rare to run across a wrestler that's full of charisma and personality and can naturally engage with people. That's why people like Stone Cold stand out so much. That's why people like The Rock stand out so much. That's why so many of those people from the Attitude Era stand out so much, because they were very charismatic and they were very personable people that, you know, they were able to sort of take themselves out of like population, focus on their craft without becoming too much of a cave dweller to forget how to interact with motherfuckers, right? That was, you know, that's those people. That's why DX was so great, right? That's why Mick Foley was so great. They were able to still, as, you know, cave dwellers, able to interact with people and be able to get on a mic in front of a crowd of thousands and viewers by the millions and just let it go, right? And there's wrestlers today in the WWE, in ROH, right, in NXT that, you know, for instance, Roderick Strong, like the guy just will never be able to carry himself as a wrestler on a microphone or as a wrestler as a personality. Like, it'll never happen. And there's a whole host of other people that have that, just have that or don't have that. And Ronda Rousey is going to be one of those people. And sometime soon they better get her a mouthpiece, or she just fucking follows Shayna Baszler's lead. Because Shayna Baszler is holding her own, being a fucking bully, terrorizing and threatening. I mean, when she walks out, I get the chills. And she, nothing compared to Ronda Rousey and how ferocious she is. Even though Shayna looks more intimidating, she's not as badass, right? And you got Ronda Rousey, she's like, I want to gain the respect for you guys. Like, shut the fuck up. No, you don't. You want to live your dream, obviously, and wrestle, but you also want to get that fucking paycheck. And regardless, and like I said in a previous video, she could give a fuck about the women's division, right? If she cared so much about the women's division, she would be like, you know what, guys? I do not want this spot. I do not want this check. Okay? She ain't done that. She's taken that check and she got herself a spot, possibly headlining WrestleMania. Okay? That scenario, that mixed tag team match better not be a WrestleMania headliner, the last match. Okay? If we're still going on the last match being the most important match, being the most, pulling the most tickets, like that's no. Okay, John Cena versus The Undertaker, and I'm not going to talk long on this, should not headline WrestleMania because it's a novelty match. No novelty matches should never headline WrestleMania. A headline match should be between people who are, just in general, okay? It should be someone who's worked majority of the year, house shows and live tapings. It should be a match we haven't seen before. It should be for a championship, right? Either for a championship or for some sort of ridiculous stakes, like a retirement match, or just not even so much, just a championship. How about we just go with it should be for a fucking championship, and it should be maybe I just said it, but like a match we've never seen, or a match that's just good. Just that damn good to where on the biggest stage, maybe the scenario could be different, right? But it better involve a fucking championship. Well, the world championship, world heavyweight championship. And we never seen John Cena versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania. The Undertaker is just as bad as Kurt Angle. The guy has no hip. John Cena, granted, is John Cena. People will complain about how much he can't wrestle or how much they hate him in the spotlight. We will tune in to watch his matches, and we will be fucking yelling and kicking and screaming out of every near fall. But this cannot headline WrestleMania. I don't want to see another Undertaker match, even though I'm going to see this one. I mean, I want to see this one. If they said Undertaker's not wrestling, I'll be completely fine with that, right? Be completely fine with that. But if they're going to have it, this match better be midway. If not opening the match, if not opening WrestleMania, it better be in the middle, like right dab in the middle, as an intermission between, say, the lower card matches and the higher card matches. And at the bottom of those higher card matches, yeah, it'll wear some people out, but put some matches in between there so people can catch their composure and put that. I don't know what you would put in that place ahead of it, but you will put something where people can, still stay tuned in, but at the same time they can relax a little bit because the match between the two of them, as much as John Cena is going to have to do a lot to cover up for the lack of athleticism that the Undertaker has, it's still going to, be pretty, what's the word? It's going to have you on the edge of your seat, just by default. But it should not headline WrestleMania, okay? Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles, the dream match at WrestleMania, should not headline WrestleMania, even though it's for the WWE belt. The WWE belt is now the second belt to the Universal title. Sadly, but true. If it's on SmackDown, it's the B show, it's the B belt. That's the way Vince has it. And a lot of us call it the dream match. I don't really call it the dream match because I've seen it already. And for the most part, it's just a lot of us wrestle geeks, elitists, who are just going to, even if this match is crap, somehow it's going to squeeze in a 5-star just from the namesake. And I'm not too impressed with what they've done with Nakamura. I'm not very impressed with his entire run in the WWE so far. And the fact that they want to give this guy still a mic, it's still one of the craziest, stupidest things that they can do. Next to giving Ronda Rousey a goddamn mic and Asuka a mic. Like, come on, just give him a mouthpiece or just not have him say anything at all. They got him out there looking like a fucking idiot, talking the worst English on the planet in front of a hostile crowd. And luckily, these people aren't as harsh on him and on Asuka as I would think they are. Because we've seen times where people struggle with English and they get what chance. Nakamura's not getting what chance. Asuka's not getting what chance. I'm happy for that. It still doesn't mean that they have to have a fucking microphone. He's been jobbed out to Jinder Mahal, and he's basically a guy who just gyrates, right? All he does is this. Like, this is all we know him as, really. If I was a casual wrestling fan and I was watching Nakamura for the first time, I'd be like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Does he have cerebral palsy or something? Right? What the fuck? Is he special? Like, why is he fucking gyrating and doing all this stupid shit? Nothing's happening. But I want to see someone, like, fucking put some maracas in his hands. Like, some video maracas in his hands. And he's just, like, shaking the fucking maracas, You know, like how they do the RKO out of nowhere. Like, how about some maracas out of nowhere in this motherfucker's hands and just have fun with it? And AJ Styles, the poor guy, you know, they gave Jinder Mahal a better fucking championship run than AJ Styles. What they've done with this whole what they've done with the whole Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Bryan and McMahon, and him just being like kind of like the third, fourth wheel in that whole storyline as champion. It just blows my mind. Shinsuke wins the Royal Rumble. He chooses AJ Styles, which I thought was a shame. They did it right with Asuka. They had her just chill and they gave her a moment, not a time to choose, but they gave her a moment by showing up to Fastlane and saying and declaring that she's going to be facing Charlotte. They didn't even give him that much. I said in a previous recording how I thought it'd been real cool if he would have just been like floating back and forth between SmackDown and Raw, to maybe show interest in facing Brock Lesnar, and then having at Fastlane him step up to AJ Styles and say, hey, we're going to face at WrestleMania. But it'd been so cool to just even have the idea that he would have possibly been facing Brock Lesnar, right? Brock Lesnar is in the ring and Paul Heyman, and he shows up on the screen, or he shows up, he goes, I haven't chose yet, guys. Remember, I could choose between you or AJ Styles. So watch your nugget. But again, that's the Roman Reigns equation, and that foiled that. So he had to basically proclaim that he was going to face AJ Styles. Like, that sucks. But either way, the two of them are going to get in there, and they probably, I would almost think, and I hope that their work ethic is greater, and I want to give them that much credit. But I don't want to see Wrestle Kingdom 10 again, right? I don't want to see that match again. And I'm almost scared that that's the match we're going to get, Wrestle Kingdom 10. But at WrestleMania, I want them to get in there and tell another story. I want them to tell a better story. I want to tell them a story of growth since we last met. That's what I want to see. Since we last met, not we meet again. Since we last met. And if they can get that storyline and that storytelling in the ring, not a bunch of kickouts, just straight like sport, like a fight feel, then they could possibly have the match of the night, but it does not deserve to be a headline. Just for the fact that we've seen it before already. Even as a mark, I don't care. They're doing this match for the marks anyway. We've seen this match already. Okay? We've seen those two. It's not like DC Marvel mashup. These guys are totally in company of one another. All right? We have Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. And I go, nah, been there, done that. I don't have much to say about this match. Been there, done that. Even though it's for the Universal Championship. We've been there. We've done that. The match will probably last 10 minutes. You'll probably get some drama. But again, been there, done that. There's nothing from this match. And it may just get shitted on because we all know with the whole stuff with UFC and the storyline that they have right now with Roman Reigns talking about how Brock, that the internet has totally shit itself for for the fact that Roman Reigns, we know he's the golden child and he's the boy of Vince McMahon. And just for the mere fact that he said, you know Brock's your boy, right? Like, the fucking internet fucking broke in half because of that statement. Like, Jesus Christ, it's okay, fuck it. It's just, they scripted it wrong, they scripted it wrong, it's no big deal. They're both his fucking boys, okay? They're both Vince's boys, all right? Who cares that he said it? We get it. It's funny, laugh at it. You know, go, ha 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 ha, who the fuck are they trying to convince? You know, like, that's it. Let it go. I was going to do a whole video just talking about how the overreaction to just that one thing that was said. Just, you know, oh yeah, they're doing so much to get people to cheer Reigns, and then all of a sudden he says this. Like, shut the fuck up. It's like, it's no big deal. It's really no big deal. You know, I bet with the backlash or whatever, the writers go, oops, you know, we fucked that up, you know. It's still not worth losing your shit about, right? It's just not worth it. Well, anyway, been there, done that. It should not headline WrestleMania. It just shouldn't headline WrestleMania. We've seen Roman Reigns at the end enough times, you know, and holding up the belt while fireworks is going off. We've seen it enough. Like, what makes you think that we're totally intrigued by seeing that again? Because it's going to happen again next year. Somehow he's going to lose the belt, right? Between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, he's going to lose the belt again, and then they're going to build another storyline against another big bad motherfucker. It'd probably be Braun Strowman, and he's going to have to beat Braun Strowman again, and we're going to get the, you know, holding up the belt and the fireworks at WrestleMania, you know? Like, it's just, as long as he's at the helm, and as long as Vince McMahon is fucking running the show, we look forward to that happening over, like Groundhog's Day, over and over and over again. So when he does beat Brock Lesnar, and, you know, hopefully they don't shit on it like Goldberg, Lesnar, right? And he does win, again, it's going to be a simple storyline. He's going to hold the belt for like the first 2 months. He's going to get beat somehow, you know, in a triple threat where he doesn't get pinned, and then it's going to be him again, you know, weaving through the fucking bullshit to get back to WrestleMania to lift that belt at the end of the show yet again. I'm not saying that it won't be the headliner. It doesn't deserve to be the headliner. Okay? And now, the match. Oh shit, we also have, what we got? We don't even, I guess, yeah, whatever. That's the match that deserves top billing at this year's WrestleMania. It deserves it. And it has all the factors that I think needs to be represented in headlining a WrestleMania. It's a match we've never seen before. It's a match we've never seen before. Okay? It's a match for a title. It's a match attached to names and credibility. Right? There's legacy and there's status. There's drama, there's anticipation, and it has the potential to be the first time Asuka versus Charlotte Flair has to be, without a shadow of a doubt, it has to be the main event for this year's WrestleMania New Orleans. It has to be. I don't see how it can't. We got Charlotte Flair, right? She had some humble fucking beginnings in NXT. And her first fucking couple of months on the main roster were rough. Watching her wrestle was rough. And when I was doing Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling, and I would just be like, yo, like, Charlotte needs to get her shit together, man. Like, what the fuck? And Jake would get so fucking worked up. He would get so worked up because he was a Ric Flair mark, and he's definitely a Charlotte mark just from the fucking degrees of separation, right? That's it. Just the fact that she is the daughter of Flair, right? He would lose his mind. And I'm just like, are you not watching? I'm listening to other podcasts. They're pointing out the same thing. He would just be like, fuck off, man. He's like, don't you say a goddamn thing negative about a Flair. And you know, and but I kept up with it, you know, and she improved, and she improved, and she improved. And now she's, you know, she's fucking royalty right now. The way that she's carrying herself is actually pretty impressive. Her matches are pretty badass, but the storylines they have her in are bullshit. I mean, when she went to SmackDown, she became basically an afterthought. I mean, they almost dropped the ball on her. Like, they almost did. And they may end up doing it still. Right? When she won the belt, it wasn't really something that was a big deal because, like, it was something that she should have had in the first place. The positioning that she should have had in the first place was something at the top of the food chain. And her fucking basically, like, letting it be known that she's the top dog. But that didn't happen that way. And she struggled and struggled to get back to the top, and now she is. And I think, you know, it's perfect timing and also her maturity level. Maybe it took being, you know, on the sideline of SmackDown as they focused on, you know, Becky Lynch and Naomi and those, you know, couple of other women on the roster, for her to be like, let me get up to that level and surpass them. And that's where we're at right now. Right? That's where we're at. She's hella over. People are happy to see it. The Flair name lives on. Right? We can continue to woo a Flair. Asuka, the fact that she jumped ship from Raw to face a SmackDown fighter, wrestler, is in itself enough to give it a headline match, because a lot of these, you know, basically there's no cross-pollination. There's no other cross-pollination on the WrestleMania card. Everybody's Raw versus Raw, SmackDown versus SmackDown, and this is a cross-pollination. She jumped ship. She's like, fuck Alexa Bliss. I don't need to be fighting you. You're not the best. I'm not proving anything by defeating you. I'm gonna go to SmackDown to face Charlotte Flair, right? She has an undefeated streak that's been going on for 3 years now. And, you know, a lot of people don't like to count NXT. They're counting NXT. They pick and choose when they want to consider NXT part of storyline, you know, which is stupid. If you're going to be all in or not all in, you know, pick and choosing what's more convenient is just not going to cut the mustard for me, okay? It's just not. But they've decided to do that with Asuka and her undefeated streak down at NXT. And don't even talk about Charlotte. I mean, well, they talk about a little bit of Charlotte Flair in NXT, but it's more or less her training. It's not even like, well, her legacy down at NXT is she did this and she did that. Like, they let us know, like, you know, I had to work hard because my last name was Flair. I had to work harder, you know? But again, you can't win them all in terms of how they explain certain things. But I wish they would be either all in or not in at all with the NXT things. But yes, they're using that storyline for Asuka ever since she's joined the main roster. That rhymed. And she hasn't been winning by dominance. She's been winning because she got that goddamn Asuka lock. Like, She's been doing that down at NXT. So she hasn't been dominant. Everyone's like, why is she crushing people? Because, unless she's in there with like Becky Jobber, you know, Josie Jobber, that she just crushes and kills. She's in there with ex-champions and people who's been on the roster for years, right? And she's been put to the test like she should. And she gives you great wrestling. Great wrestling isn't a squash. A great performer squashes people, but it's not great wrestling. She's been put in with the likes of all those people that we know and love over the years, all the way up to her last match against Mickie James. And she just barely squeaked out of that. Why didn't she squash her? Because Mickie James is a 5-time women's champ. She still beat her. Oh, it wasn't a good looking win. What's the last word you said? Win? Okay. Ain't no such thing as an ugly win. In my eyes, you either win or you lose. I've seen a lot of ugly losses. I tell you that much. Disgusting. But she is the king. She is the queen or the empress of getting the job done. Now, you look at Charlotte Flair, and she's faced people, and she's lost to people, right? Her whole thing with Sasha Banks, it was like playing fucking ping pong with the women's championship. She learned from it, she grew from it, right? She just basically had to fight off like 3 motherfucking women out of the Ruby Riott squad, right? She's become a better wrestler. And who's to say when she's finally in a big time match, and this is going to be her first big time match in quite some time. I mean, if not the biggest big time match she's ever had in her career. So the stakes are pretty fucking high. It's for the it's for the SmackDown Women's Championship. But again, the fact that, the title don't make the person, the person makes the title. In this case, the latter. Charlotte makes that title. And just for that alone, I think is more of a title to go after, and after a better wrestler. And that, and Asuka's going after basically both. And what is Asuka has to offer? What she has to offer, maybe not at a greater a greater expense or what have you, a greater stake, but she's representing Raw. She's representing the A show, Vince's baby, right? Like any and everything about Raw and its success has everything to do with favoritism from Vince McMahon. I'm pretty sure Vince McMahon likes Asuka, other than the fact that he gives her a microphone to sound like a fucking idiot, screaming and yelling out of frustration. And I think that's what's wrong with her promos. She's frustrated. She wants to express herself. She wants to get into the character, but she can't. So she ends up like yelling and screaming in these weird and this weird inflection, and that's all it is. She needs a mouthpiece. Please, at some point, give her a mouthpiece, right? Just don't have her do dialogue at all. Her fucking resume speaks for itself. Why does she has to talk? She talks with her fists. She talks with her fucking feet and she talks with her damn stranglehold, right? But nevertheless, she is Vince's number one girl in his number one fucking show, his business, which is Monday Night Raw, his cash cow, okay? And she's offering her streak. Like, she's offering her streak. No one's come close. And you can say the matches with Nia Jax or what have you, but no one's come close. It's not like we're sitting back going, oh, there's a chance she may lose out of any of the matches she's ever been in. Ever. Okay? So, So this is like the one time we're actually there's a chance she may lose this motherfucker, right? Now, granted, she's ran through everybody that's beaten Charlotte repeatedly. But for some reason, I feel that Charlotte has a legitimate chance. I don't think she should be Asuka, but I think she has the best chance out of anyone at this grand stage that anyone's ever had. You know, and something I forgot to even bring up in terms of Charlotte Flair and the fact that she's improved as much as she has up to the point that we see her now. It's the fact, it's pedigree. Never underestimate the power of pedigree. Not the pedigree, but pedigree. But pedigree. She is from the bloodline of one of the greatest, if not arguably the greatest wrestler of all time. Granted, it didn't translate through the sons, but it's not like, the dad with the great hair, and then you got a couple of sons that are balding, the son, the mother with the height, right? And one daughter gets the height, and the other one gets, the short end of the stick, like that happens in terms of bloodline and DNA and stuff. Not everyone gets the good stuff, right? And she was fortunate enough to get the good stuff. Very fortunate to get the good stuff. And this match should headline WrestleMania. And there's other ways that I can describe how this match should, and it's a women's match. It would be the first time a women's match ever headlines WrestleMania. It's worth it. If there was ever a time to pull the trigger on something like that, it's now. This women's revolution ain't shit. It's shit if this doesn't take place. It's all for nothing. Not for Ronda Rousey. The women's evolution, whatever the fuck they want to call it at the time, it's not for Ronda Rousey. It's not for Stephanie McMahon. It's for the likes of Asuka and Charlotte Flair. The epitome of what wrestling, women's wrestling, and just wrestling in general. The marks are going to fucking love it. The casuals are going to love it. Women's wrestling is going to be pushed to the forefront. It's going to be something we're going to be talking about for years and years and years to come. We're not going to be talking about John Cena versus The Undertaker. We're not going to be talking about Ronda Rousey's debut versus Stephanie McMahon, a non-wrestler, and two old fogies, as in Triple H and fucking Kurt Angle. No one's going to be goddamn talking about Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles from here on out, making history. No one's going to be talking about that stuff. Nobody's going to be talking about that at all. They're going to be talking about from here until the dawn of the fucking day, to the end of time. They will always bring up Asuka versus Charlotte headlining a WrestleMania, the first women's match to headline a WrestleMania. And because of the level that both of those women are on in terms of wrestling, they're going to be talked about in the match. The last match that we talk about in just awe and all like fucking excitement is the Iron Woman match between Bayley and Sasha Banks in NXT. Like we still bring up how awesome that is, right? And a first being that it was the first women's Iron Woman match, right? And the story they told and how everything was just so interactive. And we still hold that to like the cream of the crop in terms of women matches to this very day. And that match was like damn near 4 years ago. We've had a match since Trish and Lita or some shit like that, right? So now we have the likes of Asuka, we got the likes of Charlotte Flair, the epitome of what women's wrestling should be. The honor, the grace, the fucking class, everything about it. Between Asuka, the Empress, Charlotte Flair, the Queen. Both of them in their own respective ways. Quintessential, the greatest women's wrestlers on the planet today. And they should be given the opportunity to showcase to the world, not only for women's wrestling, but for just wrestling in general. Because this is I'm not saying this to fucking jump on the whole like women's thing. This has nothing to do with feminism at all. This has everything to do with you put the best in the best situations to succeed. And this is exactly what this is. And maybe I haven't explained it in the most wax poetic of ways. I'm going here and there and everywhere, right? I'm fucking hitting shit left and right. And, it's kind of tough to stay on track because, that's just how my mind fucking works. But God damn it, I've said enough to convince anybody calling the shots, anyone who's, indecisive, whatever the fuck, how you ever said it, about how they feel about what matches should headline. If there was ever a time, the time is now. Pull the trigger, WWE. Make it happen. It's going to go over whoever has their hand raised at the end for that women's championship. The crowd is just going to fucking go nuts for it. If Asuka wins, everyone's going to fucking leave happy. Then they go like, what a main event. If Charlotte Flair ends the streak and holds on to the belt, no one's going to be upset by that. They're going to be like, wow, where were you when you saw Asuka lose? Where were you when you saw Asuka win the belt? Where were you when you saw Charlotte Flair headline at Wrestlemania? Where were you when you saw Charlotte defeat Asuka, retaining the championship and ending the streak? If it's anywhere other than the main event, the last match on the card, and I don't care how tired any and everyone would be, people will be fucking on the edge of their seats, close to death and dehydration, screaming to the top of their lungs and freaking out by how amazing this match will be. And I believe it's going to be a great match. I believe it's going to be such an amazing match. I'm already on the bandwagon. So WWE, anybody, Vince, Triple H, Stephanie, if anyone's listening, anyone cares, do yourself a favor. Give that main event spot to Charlotte Flair and Asuka. Okay? That's all I ask. And maybe an appearance from the Godfather somewhere in the WrestleMania show with his hose. That'd be great. But other than that, give me Asuka versus Charlotte. More to come, guys. Peace.